Texas. Everyone thinks they know it. Cowboy hats, BBQ, and endless highways. But this state is hiding spots that most people drive right past without a second thought. Places that could have made your last road trip actually memorable. So here are 25 places in Texas you'll wish you found sooner. Number 25, Palo Duro Canyon State Park. You've heard of the Grand Canyon, but Palo Duro? Second largest canyon in the United States, sitting right there in the Texas Panhandle, and somehow it's not on everyone's bucket list. The canyon stretches 120 miles long and plunges 800 feet deep with layers of orange, red, and yellow rock that look like someone painted them on purpose. It's been carved out over millions of years by the Prairie Dogtown fork of the Red River. The thing is, you can actually get down into this canyon. There are 30 miles of hiking, biking, and equestrian trails. The Lighthouse Trail is the most popular, a moderate 6-mile round trip that takes you to a rock formation that looks exactly like what you'd expect. During summer months, they put on a musical drama called Texas in the Pioneer Amphitheater, which has been running since 1966. As one park regular put it, you don't feel like you're in Texas anymore. You feel like you're on another planet. Number 24, Marfa. This tiny town in West Texas has about 1,700 residents and somehow became an international art destination. It started in the 1970s when minimalist artist Donald Judd moved here and started installing large-scale art installations. Now you've got the Chinati Foundation, which houses some of the most important contemporary art collections in the world, sitting in the middle of nowhere. But Marfa's really famous for the Marfa lights, unexplained glowing orbs that appear in the distance at night. People have been reporting them since the 1880s. Scientists say they're atmospheric reflections or car headlights, but that hasn't stopped folks from driving out to the official viewing area on Highway 90 to see for themselves. The town also has Prada Marfa, a fake Prada store that's actually an art installation, sitting alone on a desert road. It's weird, it's artsy, and it's very much not what you'd expect from rural Texas. Number 23, Natural Bridge Caverns. Located between San Antonio and New Braunfels, these caverns were discovered in 1960 by 4 college students who were just poking around. The name comes from the 60-foot natural limestone bridge spanning the entrance. What they found underneath was a massive network of chambers, the largest of which is the Hall of the Mountain King. The formations inside took thousands of years to create: stalactites, stalagmites, flowstones, and chandeliers. The caverns stay at a steady 70 degrees year-round, which is a nice break from Texas heat. They offer different tour levels, depending on how adventurous you're feeling. The Hidden Passages tour takes you crawling through tight spaces that aren't on the regular route. There's also a zip line, ropes course, and a maze above ground if you want to stay in the daylight. One tour guide mentioned, "People always ask what's the most amazing thing down here. I tell them it's realizing this was all hidden under their feet the whole time." Number 22, Enchanted Rock State Natural Area. This massive pink granite dome rises 425 feet above the hill country, and it's one of the largest batholiths in the United States. It formed underground about 1 billion years ago and gradually got exposed as the surrounding rock eroded away. The Tonkawa people believed ghost fires flickered at the top, which is where the Enchanted name comes from. The summit trail is a steep, mile-long hike that takes you to the top, where you can see for miles in every direction. The rock makes creaking and groaning sounds at night as it cools and contracts, which probably helped with those ghost stories. Rock climbers love this place. There are over 1,000 climbing routes with varying difficulty levels. The park limits daily visitors, so you need reservations, especially on weekends. Get there early, or you'll be turned away at the gate. Number 21, Caddo Lake State Park. This is the only naturally occurring large lake in Texas, and it looks nothing like what people picture when they think of Texas. Located on the Texas-Louisiana border, Caddo Lake is a maze of bayous, sloughs, and cypress trees draped with Spanish moss. It feels more like Louisiana swamp country than anything Texan. The lake formed when a massive log jam on the Red River, called the Great Raft, caused water to back up into the area. That happened around the 1800s. Now it's a 25,400-acre wonderland for kayaking and canoeing. Paddling through the cypress forest is surreal. Trees rising out of dark water, roots creating natural tunnels, and enough wildlife to keep you alert. There are alligators here, which surprises people who don't realize gators live this far west. Fishing is excellent too. Largemouth bass, catfish, and crappie. One local fisherman said, "You can fish here for 30 years and still find spots you've never seen before." Number 20. The Blue Hole, Wimberley. Central Texas has swimming holes all over the place, but this one stands out. Blue Hole is fed by Cypress Creek and sits in a park setting surrounded by trees. The water is incredibly clear and stays cool even in summer. It's not huge, maybe 20 feet across at its widest, but it's deep enough for jumping off the surrounding rocks. The area used to be a private swimming spot before becoming a park. Now it's managed by the Wimberley Valley Watershed Association, and they limit the number of daily visitors to preserve it. You need advance reservations, and they only allow about 75 people per day during peak season. That keeps it from turning into the crowded mess that some Texas swimming spots have become. The water comes from natural springs, so it maintains that blue-green clarity that makes you actually want to dive in instead of just waiting at the edges. Number 19. The 6th Floor Museum at Dealey Plaza, Dallas. On November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated while his motorcade passed through Dealey Plaza. Lee Harvey Oswald fired the shots from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository building. That building is now home to a museum dedicated to Kennedy's life, assassination, and legacy. The museum preserves the area exactly as it was that day, including the so-called sniper's nest behind boxes near the window. The exhibits walk you through Kennedy's presidency, the events leading up to that day, and the aftermath. They've got hundreds of artifacts, photographs, and films. Standing at that 6th floor window and looking down at Dealey Plaza is unsettling. The museum doesn't take sides on conspiracy theories. It presents the evidence and lets visitors draw their own conclusions. One visitor commented, "You read about it in history books, but standing there makes it real in a way nothing else can." Number 18. Big Bend National Park. This park is so remote that it's one of the least visited national parks in the country, which is exactly why you should go. Located where the Rio Grande makes a big bend along the Mexican border, the park covers over 800,000 acres of Chihuahuan desert, mountains, and river canyons. It's a 5-hour drive from the nearest major city, which filters out the casual tourists. The scenery shifts dramatically as you move through the park. The Chisos Mountains rise up in the center, offering cooler temperatures and different vegetation. Santa Elena Canyon has vertical limestone cliffs rising 1,500 feet on both sides of the Rio Grande. The desert areas bloom with wildflowers in spring if the rain cooperates. Night skies here are some of the darkest in the continental United States, making it perfect for stargazing. They've documented over 450 bird species, more than any other national park. As one park ranger put it, Big Bend doesn't give you anything easy, but it gives you everything real. Number 17. Hamilton Pool Preserve, Dripping Springs. This natural pool was created thousands of years ago when the dome of an underground river collapsed, creating a grotto. A 50-foot waterfall spills over the limestone overhang into the emerald green pool below. Stalactites hang from the collapsed ceiling, and ferns grow where the water keeps everything damp. Hamilton Pool was a private retreat until the 1980s, when Travis County acquired it. The pool itself is about 25 feet at its deepest point. Swimming is allowed when bacteria levels are safe, though periods of high bacteria from natural causes sometimes close it. You need reservations to visit, and they strictly enforce the capacity limits to prevent overcrowding and erosion. The hike down to the pool isn't long, but the stairs can be slippery. People who've been swimming in Texas holes for decades still say this one's special. Number 16, Terlingua Ghost Town. Out in the middle of West Texas, near Big Bend, sits this abandoned mining town that refuses to completely die. Terlingua was a thriving quicksilver, mercury, mining town in the early 1900s. The Chisos Mining Company pulled mercury out of the ground, which was used in things like felt hat production and gold extraction. When the mines closed in the 1940s, people left. What remains are crumbling adobe buildings, an old cemetery on the hill, and just enough residents to keep some life in the place. The Terlingua Trading Company and Starlight Theater are still operational, serving food and drinks to travelers. Every November, Terlingua hosts the Terlingua International Chili Championship, which draws thousands of people to this remote location for what's basically a huge party with chili. The landscape around town is stark desert beauty, nothing for miles except rocks, cactus, and sky. One regular visitor said, "Terlingua is what happens when a town dies, but its spirit doesn't leave." Number 15, Balmorhea State Park. In the middle of West Texas desert, there's a spring-fed pool that stays 72 to 76 degrees year-round. The San Solomon Springs produce 15 to 20 million gallons of water per day, filling a 1.75-acre pool that's up to 25 feet deep. It was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps in the 1930s. This isn't your typical swimming pool. It's a constructed pool, yes, but it's fed entirely by natural springs and is home to two endangered fish species, the Comanche Springs pupfish and the Pecos mosquito fish. You can snorkel and scuba dive here. The clarity of the water lets you see straight to the bottom. Scuba divers use it for training because the visibility is excellent and there's enough depth to practice. The park has been undergoing restoration work in recent years to repair aging infrastructure, but the pool remains open. Swimming in spring water in the desert feels like finding an oasis, because that's exactly what it is. Number 14, Fossil Rim Wildlife Center, Glen Rose. This 1,800-acre conservation center lets you drive through and see over 1,000 animals from 50 different species roaming in open habitats. It opened in 1984 as a breeding facility for endangered species, and that's still a primary mission. They've got giraffes, zebras, cheetahs, rhinos, and a whole lot more. You drive your own car through the park on a 9.5-mile scenic route, and animals come right up to your vehicle. They sell feed cups, and if you have one, the giraffes will stick their heads into your car window. It's startling the first time a giraffe tongue wraps around your hand. The center runs serious conservation breeding programs for endangered species like the Atwater's prairie chicken and Mexican gray wolf. They also offer guided tours, overnight lodging, and zip lining if you want to see the animals from above. Kids lose their minds here, but honestly, adults do too when a zebra walks past their car door. Number 13, Bishop's Palace, Galveston. Built between 1887 and 1893, this Victorian mansion is one of the most significant historic buildings in Texas. Colonel Walter Gresham, a Galveston lawyer and politician, commissioned the house, and noted architect Nicholas Clayton designed it. The house survived the devastating 1900 Galveston hurricane, which killed between 6,000 and 12,000 people and destroyed much of the city. The American Institute of Architects recognized it as one of the 100 most significant buildings in America. The house has ornate details throughout: carved stone and wood, stained glass windows, fireplaces from different countries. The Roman Catholic Diocese of Galveston purchased it in 1923, and Bishop Christopher Byrne lived there, which is how it got the name Bishop's Palace. Now it's a museum open for tours. The craftsmanship is something you don't see in modern construction. Every room has some detail that makes you stop and look twice. Number 12, Guadalupe Mountains National Park. Home to Guadalupe Peak, the highest point in Texas at 8,751 feet. This park doesn't get the attention it deserves. The mountains are actually an ancient fossilized reef from the Permian period, about 265 million years ago. Back then, this area was covered by a shallow sea. When the water receded, the reef was exposed and eventually lifted up to form these mountains. The park has over 80 miles of trails. The hike to Guadalupe Peak is strenuous, 8.5 miles round trip with an elevation gain of about 3,000 feet. But the views from the top stretch into New Mexico on clear days. McKittrick Canyon is famous for its fall foliage, which is rare in Texas. The maples and oaks turn colors in late October and early November, creating a display that surprises people who don't expect autumn colors in Texas. The park is remote, facilities are limited, and cell service is non-existent. That's part of the appeal if you want to actually disconnect. Number 11. Longhorn Caverns State Park. Unlike most caves that form from water-dissolving limestone, Longhorn Cavern was carved by an ancient underground river that cut through the rock during the Ice Age. The river dried up, leaving behind a massive cavern with smooth, flowing walls. The cave has been used for thousands of years. Prehistoric peoples lived here, and artifacts have been found throughout. In more recent history, the cavern was used as a hideout by outlaws in the 1800s. During Prohibition in the 1920s, it supposedly housed an illegal dance hall and bar. The Civilian Conservation Corps developed it as a tourist attraction in the 1930s, building the trails and infrastructure still used today. The tours take you through chambers with names like the Indian Council Room and the Hall of Marble. The temperature stays at 68 degrees year-round. There's no artificial lighting during tours. Guides carry lanterns, which creates an atmosphere that feels more authentic than most commercial cave tours. Number 10. Hueco Tanks State Park and Historic Site. About 32 miles northeast of El Paso, this park is known for two things: world-class bouldering and prehistoric rock art. The tanks are natural rock basins that collect rainwater, which made this area critical for Native American tribes, Spanish explorers, and travelers on their way west. People have been stopping here for over 10,000 years. The rock art is extensive, over 2,000 pictographs painted and carved by various cultures over thousands of years. Some date back to the Jornada Mogolon, people around 1000 AD. The masks, faces, and geometric designs are well preserved. Access to areas with rock art is restricted to guided tours to protect them. For rock climbers, Hueco Tanks is legendary. The unique pocketed rock formations provide thousands of climbing problems. Climbers from around the world make pilgrimages here. The park limits daily visitors to 70 people to reduce impact on the site. Reservations are required, and they fill up fast, especially during peak climbing season from October to March. Number 9. Moody Gardens, Galveston. This complex started as a therapy program for injured children, but evolved into a major educational tourism destination. The property includes 3 main glass pyramids: the Aquarium Pyramid, Rainforest Pyramid, and Discovery Pyramid, each housing different exhibits. The Aquarium Pyramid has over 10,000 animals from oceans around the world, including penguins, seals, and sharks. The Rainforest Pyramid is a 10-story tropical environment with free-flying birds, butterflies, and exotic plants from rainforests in Africa, Asia, and the Americas. The Discovery Pyramid focuses on space exploration and science exhibits. Beyond the pyramids, there's a 4D theater, paddle wheel boat, white sand beach, and zip line. During the holidays, they put on Festival of Lights, which covers the grounds with millions of lights. It's touristy, sure, but it's also well done. One marine biology teacher said, "It's one of the few places that makes learning feel like entertainment instead of work." Number 8. Dinosaur Valley State Park, Glen Rose. The Paluxy River runs through this park, and preserved in the limestone riverbed are dinosaur tracks from about 113 million years ago. You can stand in actual footprints left by Acrocanthosaurus, a meat-eater, and Sauroposeidon, a massive long-necked herbivore. The tracks were formed when dinosaurs walked through mud that later hardened into rock and got covered by sediment. The tracks were discovered in 1908, and by the 1930s, Roland T. Byrd from the American Museum of Natural History made detailed studies of them. There are multiple track sites throughout the park, best viewed when water levels are low in summer and fall. The park has life-size fiberglass dinosaur models, a bit cheesy, built for a 1960s fair, but kids love them. Besides dinosaur hunting, the park offers camping, hiking, and swimming in the river. Walking in a footprint made by a creature that lived 113 million years ago is one of those experiences that shifts your perspective on time. Number 7. The Orange Show Monument, Houston. This folk art monument is the life's work of Jeff McKissack, a postal worker who spent 25 years building a tribute to the orange. He believed oranges were the key to longevity and health. Starting in 1956, he used found materials, tiles, concrete, metal, gears, mannequins, and whatever else he could scavenge to construct this bizarre maze-like structure in his backyard. The monument has no practical purpose. It's a series of platforms, stairways, arenas, and museum rooms filled with exhibits about oranges and McKissack's philosophy on life. He opened it to the public in 1979, expecting it to become a major tourist attraction. It didn't. He died in 1980, disappointed that only a few people had visited. But a group of admirers saved it from demolition and now maintains it as an example of outsider art. The Orange Show Center for Visionary Art was created because of this monument and now supports other folk artists. Tours are available on weekends, and occasionally they host events. It's weird, it's personal, and it's the kind of thing you can't believe exists until you're standing in it. Number 6. Hot Springs at Big Bend Ranch State Park. Big Bend Ranch State Park is larger and even more remote than Big Bend National Park. Along the Rio Grande, there are natural hot springs where you can soak while looking across the river into Mexico. The springs bubble up from underground at temperatures around 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Someone built a small soaking pool right at the river's edge. Getting there requires hiking down a trail to the Rio Grande, which keeps the crowds away. The springs aren't developed or commercialized. There are no facilities, no lifeguards, just hot mineral water flowing into a stone pool next to the river. You can adjust the temperature by mixing in river water. Soaking in hot springs in the desert at sunset, with canyon walls rising around you and Mexico on the other side of the river, is about as far removed from daily life as you can get. One hiker described it as the middle of nowhere, and nowhere's never felt better. Number 5. South Fork Ranch, Parker. If you watched the TV show Dallas in the 1980s, you know this place. South Fork Ranch was the primary filming location for the Ewing family ranch. The show ran from 1978 to 1991 and became one of the most watched television series in history. The Who Shot JR episode in 1980 drew 83 million viewers in the United States. The ranch is a working event venue now, but they offer tours that take you through the mansion, grounds, and a Dallas TV show museum filled with memorabilia. You can see the gun that shot JR, Lucy's wedding dress, and the oil barrels from the opening credits. The ranch hosts events, weddings, and corporate functions. For people who grew up watching the show, visiting South Fork is a nostalgia trip. Even if you didn't watch it, the tour gives you a look at 1980s TV history and the outsized cultural impact that show had. The original barn where they filmed now houses a museum with interactive exhibits and costumes. Number 4. Schlitterbahn Water Park, New Braunfels. This isn't just another water park. Schlitterbahn, which means slippery road in German, uses the natural Comal River as part of its design. The original park opened in 1979 and expanded over the years into multiple parks. The new Braunfels location is the flagship, split into different sections connected by river rides that use actual spring-fed river water. The park is known for its innovative rides. The Master Blaster uphill water coaster uses water jets to propel rafts uphill, which was revolutionary when it debuted. There are tube chutes, wave pools, and lazy rivers, but the integration with the natural river sets it apart. The water stays a cool 72 degrees year-round because it comes from natural springs. The park operates seasonally and gets packed during summer. One frequent visitor said, "Most water parks feel artificial. This one makes you forget you're in a park because you're floating down an actual river half the time." Number 3. Caverns of Sonora. Discovered in 1905 by a dog who chased a raccoon into a hole in the ground, the Caverns of Sonora are considered by many geologists to be the most beautiful show cave in the world. The formations inside are incredibly dense. There's barely any blank cave wall because almost every surface is covered with calcite formations. Helictites, soda straws, stalactites, stalagmites, flowstones, and cave bacon fill every chamber. The formations grow extremely slowly, about 1 cubic inch every 100 to 150 years. That means what you're looking at took millions of years to create. Inside, it's a consistent 72 degrees with 98% humidity year-round. Tours last about 90 minutes and cover about 2 miles of walking, including some stairs. Photography is allowed, but the scale and density of formations is hard to capture. The National Speleological Society has called it the most indescribably beautiful cavern in the world, which is high praise from people who've seen a lot of caves. Number 2. Space Center Houston. This is the official visitor center for NASA's Johnson Space Center, where human spaceflight training and mission control operations happen. The center opened in 1992 and has since hosted over 20 million visitors. You can tour the actual NASA facility, including the historic Mission Control Center from the Apollo missions, where flight controllers guided astronauts to the moon. The center has the largest collection of moon rocks and lunar samples on public display. There's a full-size space shuttle replica you can walk through. The Starship Gallery has spacecraft from various programs: Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, and more. Tram tours take you behind the scenes to areas where astronauts train. You can see the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, which is essentially a giant pool where astronauts practice spacewalks. One of the guides, a former NASA engineer, mentioned, "People come here thinking they'll see rockets and cool stuff. They leave realizing they just walked where people train to leave the planet." The center also hosts astronaut appearances and presentations throughout the year. Number 1. The Alamo, San Antonio. On March 6, 1836, Mexican forces commanded by General Santa Anna overran the Alamo mission after a 13-day siege. Around 200 Texian and Tejano defenders, including James Bowie, William B. Travis, and Davy Crockett, died in the battle. The defeat became a rallying cry, "Remember the Alamo?" And 6 weeks later, Sam Houston's forces defeated Santa Anna at the Battle of San Jacinto, securing Texas independence. The Alamo was originally Mission San Antonio de Valero, founded in 1718 as a Spanish mission to convert local Native Americans to Christianity. By the time of the battle, it had been secularized and served as a military garrison. The chapel, the most recognizable structure, is smaller than most people expect. The site is in downtown San Antonio, surrounded by modern buildings, which surprises first-time visitors who imagine it in open terrain. The site draws over 2.5 million visitors annually. It's free to visit. Inside the chapel, there's a quiet reverence. People speak in hushed tones out of respect for those who died there. The exhibits detail the battle, the people involved, and the broader Texas Revolution. The Long Barrack Museum displays artifacts and tells the stories of both sides of the conflict. Restoration work has been ongoing to preserve the site and expand the footprint to include other battle-related structures. The Alamo is more than a tourist attraction. It's a symbol of resistance and sacrifice that shaped Texas identity. So there you have it. 25 places across Texas that don't always make the typical travel lists, but probably should. From ghost towns and caverns to space centers and swimming holes, Texas has a lot more going on than most people realize. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more travel guides that skip the obvious stuff and get to the places actually worth your time. Now get out there and find something new.